Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Marv. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a good day and a good evening so far. Let me bring Andrea on. Hello, Andrea.
Hey, hey.
Just want to say to everybody, if you missed last night's live stream, you need to go back and listen to that. That was quite interesting night. Rescue All the Dogs says we'll be listening. Hi, Fight for Justice. Jinx, how are you doing? She says, please subscribe. Click that thumbs up button. Yes, absolutely. All right. Like I said, we read a deposition last night, and if you missed it, go back and listen to episode 41. There was quite some things in there last night that got us excited, angry, all kinds of things.
Scratching our heads.
Yeah. Lollipop says, Ms. Questions is here, laughing out loud. You're good, Lollipop. So we found a half-page statement deposition that we haven't read. So Andrea is going to read that tonight because it does have some pertinent information in it. And then we are going to go into the tape statement and the transcript for, we think her name is pronounced Raynetta Bahney. But first, Andrea, who did we find?
Russell Williams.
Russell Williams. Okay. And that's just a half page, so she's just going to read that for you guys so that you know what is said in there.
Apparently, he typed out this statement and took it to Gary Stout and signed it and put a little handwritten note at the bottom of it. So it was done on 10/16/02, and it says, Williams and Hall arrived at the residence of Kyle Neff at 10 a.m. on the morning of the 16th. Williams remained in the vehicle while Hall went into the house under the pretext of examining a water softener for leaks. No one answered the door. Hall proceeded to Cheryl's restaurant for a key to the house. As Hall returned from the restaurant, a man in a truck asked him for directions with a trailer carrying large fans. Hall entered the house and remained for several minutes. Hall then returned the key to the restaurant. As Hall was approaching Williams's vehicle, Wayne Brewer stopped and said hello to Hall. A white four-door Honda was in the driveway of Neff's home. Hall told Williams that while in Neff's home, Hall saw a pair of black lace-up jeans that Hall recognized as belonging to Tabitha Raines. Hall also saw a pair of blue jeans that appeared to have bloody stains on them. Hall told Williams that Hall saw no one in the house but believed Amanda Pratt was upstairs sleeping. And then at the very bottom where the handwritten note is, it says, Gary, this is what happened on the 16th. I don't know what Nick told you, but I hope this helps.
So he's specifically stating he saw Tabitha's jeans, pants there at the house, and then he saw a bloody pair of jeans.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what I forgot to turn off?
Your Discord.
Yep.
I heard it go boop boop.
Okay.
And the Hall that he was referring to in that statement was Nick Hall, who was Tabitha's cousin.
Oh.
Who, in the deposition that we read of his, he said that he went into the house.
Yep.
If you remember right.
Yep. I have a fly in one of the lights. It's driving me crazy. Buzzing around. Huh. All right. Well, that corroborates Nick's story.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's do
Raynetta. It says one way it's spelled Raynatta, and the next one is spelled Raynetta.
Yeah. So we have a tape statement that is 20 pages, and then we have an actual
transcript
that is
that's
7
pages. Right.
Lollipop, it said that he went into the residence of Kyle Neff, and he saw Tabitha's pants, and then next to him there was a bloody pair of jeans.
The blue jeans, yep. The blue jeans were, I'm assuming he's alleging they were Kyle's.
Right. Hello, Yolanda.
Yolanda, I seen your hubby's home. That's good news.
Yes, I'm so happy your husband's home.
Are we ready to do this?
Yes, I'm just was repositioning my screen here. So we're going to do the tape statement first.
The 20-pager?
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
Or did you have the other one up?
I had the other. It's no big deal. They're both right here together.
Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
So this looks like it's Jay Rich.
And her and Bob Alden.
Yep. Okay. Oh, can you spell both? Can you put both spellings of the name in the chat?
Yep. I'm doing it right now.
Thank you. Oh, Alonda, sorry to hear. We saw your post. Definitely we're thinking of you, and I'm sorry that he had a massive heart attack. I hope things are going better.
Lollipop asked, how would he know they belong to Tabitha?
That's what I was
wondering.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
Yeah.
But they know, they've seen her and know what she wears.
Right. I'm ready when you are.
All right, me too.
Okay, Raynetta, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Bob Alden. Okay, state your name for the record.
Raynetta Bahney.
And where do you live, Raynetta?
Well, I just moved back to 622 Hill Street.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do. It's 765.
Now, are you married?
No.
Who do you live with there?
A boyfriend,
And what is his name?
Steve. How do you pronounce Irion?
Irion, yeah. How old are you?
I am 31.
Do you know Elizabeth Balser?
No, I don't.
Do you know Kyle Neff?
No, I don't.
Do you know John Yates?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
Do you know Tabitha Raines?
I had saw her that week before, or the same week when she got killed.
How do you know her?
Well, I was doing a paper route because I had a paper route on Mill and East Street and saw her on my paper route because I noticed the baby and happened to talk to her.
What time is your paper route?
Well, that night it was kind of late. My gosh, it was 6, I think, that night.
Now, this is good. Once again, like Mr. Rich went over with you before, we turned on the tape. The reason why we are taking depositions under oath is because we don't want you to say anything that is not 100% true.
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't know for sure, I would appreciate it I would appreciate you saying I think or believe or whatever.
Because it has been almost a year and I don't remember the correct times on this.
But did you talk with the police?
Yes, right after she was murdered, yes.
And who did you speak with? Was it a state policeman?
It was the chief of police, I believe. There was a state trooper, but...
And did you come to the police station to volunteer information, or did they contact you?
Well, they contacted me and then I called them back.
Why did they contact you?
They thought that I knew something, which I did.
How would they know you did?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Had you told somebody?
Yes, I told a friend. I was working a night shift and
Where?
at Miller's nursing home here in Tipton. And that is when she said, you need to go say something. Well, at the time, I went to sleep and everything, and I was going to go. And at that time, they called me before I got to them.
What day did you come over to see them?
I don't know what day it was.
Was it in the middle of the night or day?
I think it was in the middle of the day.
Okay.
It would have to have been, I think it was after 3 or 4 o'clock.
You think that maybe the lady from the nursing home called the police and said that there is a lady here who thinks she may know something?
There is a possibility.
They never told me. So you sit down and talk to them and they said, we think you know something?
No, they asked me if I knew anything. And at that time, I told them what I saw that night when I went out on break.
All right. Now you're being tape recorded and it is to be transcribed into what is called a transcript. Okay. Were you being tape recorded at that time?
No.
All right. So you told them at that point in time, as accurately as possible, the information that you had. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you said that you had a paper route.
Yeah.
And you were delivering the papers and it is an evening route.
Yes. It is in the evenings, Monday through Friday, and in the mornings on Saturday.
And you knew Tabi from the paper route.
Yeah, I happened to see the baby and noticed her and noticed the baby and went over there and looked at the baby. And that is when there was words between me and her.
What?
Because I asked her, how old is the baby? And she told me how old the baby was.
Where was it you saw her?
It was right off of Armstrong. She was standing on the corner of Armstrong talking to a couple of boys. She was walking up on Mill Street and towards the tracks or away from town.
And she had her baby with her.
Yeah.
And was there anything unusual about her?
I thought so. She just seemed a little nervous. Her hair wasn't, it could have been combed or something. It just looked ratty and makeup was a little runny. She just seemed like there was something wrong.
Did she say anything to you about anything being wrong?
No, she didn't even know me, so I didn't bother asking.
And how long did you speak with her?
Probably 10 minutes.
Okay, the conversation was simply about the baby.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yes.
And then you went on with your paper route.
Yes.
And do you know for sure that it was the night that she came up missing that you saw her?
I think so.
You don't know for sure.
It was Wednesday. I think it was.
Okay.
It was a Wednesday, I think.
Okay, you don't know for sure what day it was.
The day that I saw her, it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
So how do you know it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday?
I don't know. Some things I do remember, some things I don't.
Okay, so that's fine. Did you ever see her after that?
No.
Had you ever talked to her after that?
No.
All right, so that is what you told the police.
Yeah.
Okay, then did they say, do you know anything else? And did you tell them any other information?
Yes. When I was working at Miller's, because I worked as a CNA on the night shift, one night, I believe it was on a Friday, I went into work about midnight, between midnight and 12:30.
Hang on a second. End of tape. Okay, we're back on. So anyway, you were at Miller's nursing home.
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, between 12:30, 12:45 a.m., I went out at the back to smoke a cigarette.
This was on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw somebody come out at the end, like the woods. They're up by the pile where the parking lot is close to, and go along the roads and towards the hospital, and didn't see him after a certain point. It was a man in all black, a white man with light hair.
Okay, where is Miller's nursing home?
Well, it is off of Fairgrounds Road. It is right behind the hospital.
Okay.
It is along that creek. It's right behind the hospital.
And you saw a man running.
Well, I don't remember if he was running or not, but he was walking fast.
He had on all black.
Yeah, and it was all black and a white man. He looked like he was a younger man, too.
Okay, did you say anything to him?
No, I was smoking a cigarette and just kept up by the building, the white building they have at Miller's. It is the shed or whatever they have used at Miller's.
Are you sure it wasn't any other day other than a Friday?
I don't think so. I think it was Friday.
Okay, it wasn't the same day you talked to Tabitha.
No.
All right, I don't have any further questions. J. Rich. Raynetta, what direction did you say this man was running?
Well, it was going towards the hospital.
Okay, does that mean he is running northeast away from Miller's?
Yeah, he was going away from Miller's.
I shouldn't say running because you didn't say that. Moving northeast away from Miller's towards the hospital.
Yeah, going away from Miller's towards the hospital.
What side of the creek was he on? The golf course side or the hospital side?
Well, it's the side you couldn't see from Miller's, except it is on the other side, I believe. You couldn't see the golf course.
The side closest to you.
Yeah, towards Miller.
Okay.
And they did have a little mud pile or whatever there, or some rocks.
When you saw Tabitha, how do you know that was Tabitha?
Identified her from the picture in the newspaper.
Okay, and you recall when you saw the picture in the newspaper?
No, I don't.
Was it soon after your encounter with this person you encountered on your paper route?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you tell Mr. Alden that she was at Armstrong Street
Yeah.
and Mill Street,
Yeah, she was.
where they intersect?
Well, she was on the intersection there talking to some boys, and she walked off the intersection of Armstrong and Mill Street and went onto another street.
Did you say that she was walking away from town?
Yes, she was walking away from town.
Do you know where she lives?
No,
She wasn't on your paper route.
no, because the name didn't sound familiar either.
Okay, but rather than walking towards her house or towards town, she was walking towards the railroad tracks.
Yes.
Did you recognize these two young fellers you talked about?
Actually, no, there was a couple, but I didn't know none of them. One of them was kind of odd colored hair. I think it was an orange tint or something, but no, I didn't know none of them.
If you saw them, could you remember at this point?
I think so.
If you saw a picture of them, would you remember?
Yeah.
Were they in a vehicle?
No, they were walking.
How long was this gal's hair that you think that was Tabitha Raines?
It was really long.
What does really long mean to you?
Well, longer than mine, past her shoulders.
Okay.
It was real thick and curly.
Okay. Did she tell you the name of the baby?
No, she didn't.
Do you remember if the baby was a boy or a girl?
I don't remember. I think it was a boy.
Was it real little?
Yeah, it was a small baby.
A little critter?
Yeah.
Do you remember what color of hair the baby had?
No, because it had a hat on. It had a hat on. I think it was a little blue hat.
Did you tell Mr. Alden typically what your paper route time was?
Well, that night I got started late because I was working overtime and trying to get some sleep. But the paper route was supposed to be done by 6, and I was late that night. But yes, I did tell him what time approximately at the police department I saw her. I believe it was after 6.
Okay. And again, any in terms of days and times that you would have provided law enforcement, those days and times provided closer to the actual event are probably most accurate,
Yes.
as opposed to 9 or 10 months down the road. Was anybody helping you on the paper route that night?
No.
Did you always do it by yourself?
Most of the time, yes.
That is all. Bob Alden. These two boys that you say, do you remember about their ages?
None of them looked older than 20 or 21. None of them.
All right. Were they tall or short?
No, they were all thin and I believe kind of tall, taller than me.
Did the one that had the orange hair, was it like a real short haircut like Mr. Rich has, or was it one that was parted down the middle, hanging over on the sides, or?
The orange hair was a little longer than his, but kind of weird style. It was a little bit longer than his.
Weird style meaning how?
I don't know, the teenage styles nowadays, just a weird, awkward look.
Was it parted down the middle?
No,
Was it just like
hanging.
just hanging down?
Yeah, combed down.
Greased up, or?
It wasn't greased up. It would just look like it was combed down.
And is there any question in your mind it was Tabitha you saw?
I know for a fact that it was her.
You said you looked like something. You said she looked like something was wrong and kind of scared. Did you hear any conversations at all between these people?
No, I didn't.
How far away were you when they were talking?
I was coming up, walking up on them, and that is when I got a certain point, and she started down Mill Street.
And when you started conversation, she was pretty normal about the conversation about her son?
She seemed a little tense and all, but talking about her son, she was okay with.
She didn't act like she was in a hurry or anything?
No, she didn't seem like she was in a hurry because she stopped and talked to me, so she didn't seem rushed or anything.
You didn't hear any voices at all?
Well, I heard them talking, but nothing out of the ordinary or what they said.
Okay, that is all I have. Thank you. J. Rich, thank you. Oh, where did this one come from?
I don't know. Okay, we're going to come back to this one.
Okay.
This is a tape statement of Shelley Berg mixed in with Raynetta's. Okay.
I've not even heard her name.
So let's do this transcript for Raynetta Bahney, October 9th, 2002.
Okay.
This was with her and Detective Gary Stout.
Yep. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. We're at the Tipton City Police Department. Today's date would be October the 9th, 2002. Present in the room is Detective Sergeant Gary Stout with the Tipton City Police Department. Also a young lady by the name of Raynetta
Bahney.
Spelling first name, Raynetta, Bahney, Bahney. Address, 622 Hill. Age 30. Date of birth, 5/3. SOCH. Home phone number. This is in regards to case number 02103616, missing persons report. Victim, Tabitha Raines, reported missing on 10/3 of 02. Raynetta, you have a paper route, is that correct?
Yes.
And we talked prior to taking this tape statement, is that correct?
Yeah.
And on Wednesday evening at approximately 6:15 to 6:30 p.m., you were doing what?
A paper route.
And you observed a young female pushing a child, is that correct?
Yeah.
And tell me about it.
Well, I was going around the corner at East and Armstrong, talking to 2 or 3 boys. They stopped talking, and she came up on East Street. I come across the street and started noticing the baby and started talking to her about how old the baby was and what the sex was. And she seemed to be nervous and tense. Mascara and her eyeliner had smeared.
Hold up. She says East and Armstrong on this one.
Yep.
And she said Mill and Armstrong on the second one.
Right.
And then in here, she says she asked what sex the baby was.
Right.
And how old the baby was.
Right.
And that she seemed to be nervous and tense.
Yep.
Okay. You stated to me that you thought maybe she had been crying. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that her hair appeared to be
well, not well maintained.
She didn't tell you that she has that of any problems or that she had any problems, did she?
No, she was a stranger, and I didn't think it was none of my business.
You also gave me a description of the boys. Is that correct?
Yeah. I know they were all thin, but they dressed weird.
Crazy dressed?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of them definitely had like a red or orange hair. It looked like it was dyed or something.
Okay.
And that was one of them, but there was 2 or 3, and I don't know for a fact they were all inaudible too.
And I think you stated that you thought that they could be no older than 19 or 20. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And it's also, you have seen those same individuals since then. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think you stated you saw them as much as yesterday. Is that correct?
Yeah, going straight down Armstrong, walking down Armstrong Street.
Okay, just for reference, Armstrong Street is not even 50 feet north of Tabitha's house.
Okay.
Okay, and I advise you that I would like you to contact us when you were on your route, paper route, the next time, if you did observe the boys, so that we could try to locate them to talk with them and find out if they knew what might have been going on that evening. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Inaudible. You're employed where?
At Miller's.
And what shift do you work at Miller's?
Night shift.
That's the midnight shift, or?
Yeah.
What hour, what time do you go to work?
Well, my hour is 11 to 7 or 10 to 6, and it just varies.
On October the 4th, 2002, did you work at Miller's Mary Manor that night?
No.
Did you work that? Did you work? That would have been Thursday night, early Friday morning.
Oh, I went in Thursday, but I couldn't tell you if I went in at 10 or 11 that night. But yeah, I worked that night.
Okay, at approximate between the time of midnight and 12:45, were you working at Miller's that night?
Yes. Yes.
And did there come a time that you took your break?
Yeah, I went out and smoked a cigarette.
And where do you go to smoke the cigarette?
Out back, I was standing next to a large shed.
And that's behind Miller's?
Yeah, it's right out the back door.
What happened there?
Well, when I was out there smoking a cigarette, I seen a man run out from over by the smokestack and dressed all in black. Inaudible. Man, anywhere between 5'9" and 5'11", brown or brownish hair color.
Did a young individual?
Yeah.
Again, no older than, I think you stated to me, no older than the maybe early 20s?
Yeah.
And where did he run to?
Well, he run along the woods there, and he went around towards the hospital, but went around the woods. He stayed around the woods there.
Close to the wood line?
Yes.
Wood line running back toward the hospital, is that correct?
Yes.
You also stated to me that I asked you the question if you heard anything, anyone yelling or calling anyone by name or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you stated no in regards to any other voices, but you did hear something in regards to sound. Is that correct?
Yeah. It was right before came out. It was like a smacking noise.
How loud was that smacking noise?
It wasn't very loud, but it was loud enough for me to hear it.
Did you speculate on that as to what that might have been, or did you have any idea?
No, just sounded like a smack, and it sounded like a water, but I'm not so sure if it could have been that or not. I knew it was a smacking, but it sounded sort of like that.
How many? Just one time or more than once?
Yeah, one time.
Just one time.
Uh-huh.
And then did you see anything else after that?
No.
Then he just disappeared then, right?
Yeah.
I think I asked you if you heard any vehicles take off or anything like that.
No, no vehicles. I didn't see any vehicles or any.
And you came to the Tipton City Police Department on October the 9th, 2002, today. Is that correct?
Yeah.
For the purpose of giving this statement?
Yeah.
Have you been threatened, pressured, or coerced in any way to give this statement to the Tipton City Police Department?
No.
When you came to the department today, you were met by Chief Gordon Taco. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you spoke with Chief Taco?
Yeah.
And also, is it true that you went for a ride with Chief Taco along with Detective Tony Frawley of the Indiana State Police for the purpose of showing them both areas? The area where you first observed the young female, it's supposed to be male, when you were, oh no, female on your paper route, and then also the area in which the young man ran from when you were at your place of employment. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you have anything you wish to say in regards to this tape statement?
No, I don't think so.
Once the statement is transcribed, are you willing to come back to the Tipton Police Department and, if it's true and accurate statement as to the facts given to me today, sign it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll conclude this statement then at 5:20 p.m., same date, October the 9th, 2002.
All right. So she insists that she saw Tabitha with at least three young.
Two, at least two.
She said 2 to 3.
Yeah, at least two, possibly three.
Yeah. Talking to Tabitha, and Tabitha's hair was disheveled, I guess you could say, and that her makeup and mascara had been running.
Right.
As if Tabitha was upset by what they were saying. So she talked to Tabitha about the baby. And then in the next part, she's talking about how she works at Miller's. And Miller's, if you're looking from the park, you know, you've got the parking lot, you've got the pavilion, you've got the ball fields, the water tower, the hospital.
I think you have a picture of it.
And then the road. And then Miller's is back behind that road.
Yeah, it's south of the hospital in the park.
Right.
And back in 2002, there was tree lines on both sides of the creek.
Right.
Not like it is now.
Right. Now
and at one point, it's all clear. But at one point, there was a big mound of rocks and gravel and dirt and everything because they were building onto the hospital.
Okay.
And they piled all the excess dirt over there in that area.
Gotcha.
Behind Miller's.
And that's what she was seeing.
That's what she was seeing, yeah. The big pile that she's talking about.
Right.
That's what that's from.
Okay.
So here's my thing. Here's my question. Or not a question, but so she's saying that she saw him walking along the tree line, blah, blah, blah. And then she heard a smack.
Right.
So I'm assuming she's thinking that she heard maybe a body being thrown in the water. Okay.
Okay.
She said she heard a smack on the water.
Right.
Okay. But if he was the one, allegedly, that put the body in the water, wouldn't she have seen him carrying her?
Right. Yeah, she would have absolutely noticed something in his.
Yeah, because it's not totally pitch black back there.
Right. Yeah, she would have totally seen that.
Or at least a shadow.
Right.
You know, that line of him carrying someone.
Well, she saw him well enough to know that what color hair he had and everything.
Exactly.
So
right.
She would have noticed
that he was a white man.
Right.
Maybe she was thinking the smack in the water was getting rid of the weapon.
Oh, maybe.
Who knows?
It's hard to say. Hi, Honeybee and Frank Meister Mustang. How are you doing? All right. So now we're going to go back.
Yeah, I haven't read this one.
And read the tape statement of Shelley Berg that we found linked to Raynetta Bahney's.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
J. Rich. Shelley, please raise your right hand. I know this in my sleep. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth? That's the truth. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bob Alden. Okay, Shelley, spell your last name for the record.
Berg.
And Shelley, what is your address?
307 Columbia.
307 Columbia?
Yeah.
What city?
Tipton.
Telephone number?
675.
And how old are you, Shelley?
22.
Who do you live there with?
My mom.
Okay, are you working?
Not right now.
What is the last job you had?
Dollar General.
Okay, and when did you leave there?
April.
Okay.
I am not really Sure.
Are you dating anybody?
No.
I thought you may have a couple of them with that t-shirt on.
I usually do laughing.
Giving them a break here for a while?
Yeah.
Okay, Shelley, did you go to Tipton High School?
Yes.
Now, Shelley, who are you best buddies or your main friends?
Erica Martin Burkett. She got married.
Are you friends with Kyle Neff?
No.
Do you know him?
Yes.
Did you ever hang out with him at all?
Nope.
You just know who he is, basically.
Yeah.
And how about John?
I used to run around with him.
John Yates?
Yes.
Is he about your age?
I can't remember.
Who would you hang out with when you were with him?
Mandy Amen and her boyfriend.
Robbie Nelson?
Yeah, Robbie Nelson.
And who were you hanging out with then? What one of the lucky guys were you dating back in those days? Yates?
Oh, no. Well, I never dated any guys like that. I hung out with them.
So nobody particular.
No.
And were you friends with Mandy? End of tape. Bob Alden. Now, how about Elizabeth Balser?
I have known her since we were kids.
And did you ever hang out with her then?
Yes.
Were you questioned by the police as a potential witness in this case?
No.
Your name appears on the witness list. That is why you are here for a deposition. So you were never questioned by the police ever about anything?
No.
You were never talked to about anybody. You never talked to anybody about anything?
No.
Were you with Mandy Amon on October the 2nd and Robbie Nelson? Did you guys go to Kokomo to get Robbie's brother? Did you stop by Kyle Neff's house that night?
No. This is kind of blur for me, but I was hanging out with Mandy around that time, and we did go to Kokomo to pick up Robbie's brother. I'm not sure of the exact date, but I don't remember going to Kyle's. I must not have been with them at that time.
Did you leave from Tipton to go to Kokomo to get Tommy Nelson?
Yes.
And did you come back with him?
Yeah.
So if they stopped by there, how could you have not been with them?
We must not have stopped by there. If they did, I didn't know.
How many times did you go to Kokomo to pick up Tommy Nelson?
Once.
With Robbie?
Your turn.
Oh, just one time.
That I recall.
Do you remember? Did you know Tabi Raines?
Kind of. I knew her brother.
Were you aware, just being in Tipton, that she was or came up missing?
Yeah.
How many days after she came up missing were you aware of it?
When people started talking about it and the signs were up.
Before the body was found?
Yeah.
And did you ever hear any rumors about where she could be or what could have happened to her or anything like that?
Not until they found the body.
After they found the body, then?
Then I was hearing all sorts of rumors.
Who were the main people you were hearing rumors about?
Yates, pretty much. And then later on, people started talking about Liz. And I was kind of friends and talked to her. So I was kind of sticking up for her because I didn't think she could do something like that.
And how about Kyle Neff? Did you ever hear of him being involved in this at all?
A little bit.
So if you would have gone by Kyle Neff's house on the night she was missing, you probably would have remembered Kyle Neff being home or not being home.
I hadn't seen him.
You have no knowledge of Kyle Neff on October the 2nd then, right?
No.
And you have no knowledge of any of the other people on that night or on that date. Is that right?
Yeah.
Afterwards, since you still saw Liz, and since Liz was talked about a rumored suspect or whatever, did you have any conversations with her about these rumors?
When I was working at Dollar General, her and her mom came in, and the girl that I was working with said, why are you talking to her? She is a killer. And I said, no, she's not. I told her and her mom about it.
Do you think that Liz's feelings were hurt about this?
Yeah, she was almost in tears. She was pretty hurt about it. That is why I never thought she could do something like that.
Well, you have known her for a long time. Do people refer to her as nice? Do people refer to her as sensitive or as a thug? Refer to her as a fighter? Refer to her as a drug user? What is your take on Elizabeth Balser?
Well, I remember her, the little Liz that used to try to hang out with me and my friends, and we used to beat up on her and stuff like that. So when she tries to be a badass, I just laugh at her because I remember her as a kid.
Do you think she is all talk and no go kind of a person, or do you know her now well enough to really make an evaluation?
I thought I knew.
Do you know anything about her drug usage?
No, I don't know No, I didn't know she was doing cocaine.
You didn't know that?
No.
So just marijuana.
Yeah, I just thought she was doing little stuff, not hard stuff.
Well, is it fair to say that firsthand knowledge you really don't have? You don't know much of anything about this case to be of assistance. Is that pretty much the way you feel about it?
Yeah.
But you definitely know that you were not with Mandy Amon when they went by Neff's house, the day she went to pick up Tommy Nelson.
It must have been a different day. I don't know. Like I said at that time, I don't remember much of anything, and I'm not going to say why, but I don't.
You are not going to say why. Why?
Because it's personal.
Do you think that your mind was not in the right state to remember a whole lot that day? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. J. Rich. Shelley, did you go with Mandy Amon this night you described where you were with them? Did you go with Mandy the next morning to pick her checkup? Do you recall that?
Yeah.
You did go with her.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you went?
Inaudible.
To?
Inaudible.
Okay, you said that you didn't see Kyle Neff on the 2nd. Is there any chance that you went with Mandy and Robbie to pick up Tommy in Kokomo, that they could have stopped out there for 5 minutes and you stayed in the car?
Yeah.
That could have happened.
Yeah.
And again, that could have happened because the state you were in.
Right.
How? Tell me how, if that could have happened, that they could have stopped and got out for a few minutes, got back in and went to Kokomo. How could you not remember that? Yet the next day you remember going down to Westfield to pick up the check with Mandy?
Because I was straight the next day.
Do you remember who went with you to the restaurant?
It was just Mandy, Rob, and me.
Okay, Tommy didn't go?
No.
All right, thank you.
All right. What do you make of that?
No, there's not much to make of that.
Basically, who she knew.
Yeah, she ran around with Mandy Amon and Robbie Nelson, and they went and picked up Tommy Nelson in Kokomo, but she doesn't remember going to Kyle Neff's house because she was too messed up.
Right.
But yeah, then she turns around and tells Jay Rich that she probably sat in the car. Once again, one of them head scratchers. And she doesn't really know. She remembers Liz as being a little kid, not an adult.
Right.
It's kind of useless.
So it was more about whether she saw Kyle Neff on the 2nd or not.
Right.
Goodness gracious.
And she's saying she doesn't remember.
Let's see. Lollipop says, I could put my pants in someone's house and not my closest relative would know they were mine. Oh. Let's see here. I know I saw a question. Back to Mill Street. KM lived on Mill Street. Why am I not recognizing KM? Oh, now I do.
You do?
Cammy Moore?
Are you sure she lived on Mill Street?
I don't know.
I'll find out.
Hi, Kathy. Nice to see you here. Tracy, she seems to be a credible witness. And I'm assuming you guys talking about the Raynetta deposition at that time?
Cammy did live on Mill Street.
She did.
311.
Good evening, Mark. Alonda brought up a good point. She's like, I would have thought a fish jumped.
Right, I saw that.
That doesn't surprise me. Hello says, how come the same people can give their statement twice, but have completely different facts in both?
Good
That
question.
person wasn't even a suspect, so I just don't understand. That is exactly what we pointed out last night. And this has happened over and over and over again through these statements / depositions. So we don't understand it either. Seems Ellie asking a question to make it look like they were actually working on this, but didn't follow up on anything. Is everyone else getting the vibe that he's flirting with her? Oh, good point.
Well, why would you ask a question like that because of somebody's shirt?
Right. Tracy MVS, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yes, thank you for your kindness. Lollipop says, my little brain can't keep up with all the names. I know.
Lord have mercy, be on our end.
Fight for Justice says she's a name slinger or they're coached. And in last night, I keep saying this, if you have not seen last night's live stream, you need to go watch it, especially towards the end of it, because that was the first time
sentence.
We had one sentence that blew everything apart. And it all has to be about being coached.
Okay, who is Fight for Justice talking about when she says she's a name slinger?
I'm not sure. Fight for Justice, could you tell us who you're talking about? Who's she?
And why did she make a reference about KM living on Mill Street? Because as far as we know, KM and Tabi were just acquaintances.
Mm-hmm. Connections to neighbors. Huh. So two guys, Tabitha's walking down the street. Two guys are talking to her. She's got runny mascara. So obviously what they were talking to her about, she's not happy with. We know that Cammie was dating Adam Johnson, who liked to supply cocaine at the time. So did it have something to do with?
I'm trying to remember where the 300 block of Mill Street is, because the Catholic Church is right there on Mill Street. And I know I think that's the 300 block, because my aunt used to live in the 400 block of Mill Street.
Okay.
And that was on the corner of Mill and Armstrong. The 400 block was. So the 300 block would be south, back towards the church. And I know a lot of people that lived in that area.
Yeah.
Back then. And I don't see what the connections were.
Well, that's something we got to look into, is who lived there? Where could these two boys have come from? We got to do the connections. So that's something we'll have to look into.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that the 400 block of Mill Street is the intersection of Mill and Armstrong. I know that for a fact. It's a few houses south of the church is where I lived. Google Maps has the answers. Yeah.
Okay.
Londa, how long ago did you live there?
Well, you got to remember, these two boys, whoever these two boys were that upset her, didn't have a car. So they went walking to somewhere around there.
But they went up Armstrong Street. They walked east on Armstrong Street, which would be towards Oak and Maple and Poplar and 19. And she said that Tabi continued to walk north on Mill. Was it Mill or east? That's the question, because one time she says east, one time she says Mill.
Right.
Alonda said KM. 311 is adjacent to the Catholic Church. Okay, but
remember the neighbor's statement saying that she saw what looked like Liz's car at Tabitha's around 5 p.m. that day? And now this lady said she saw her around 6, looking upset.
Okay, but the neighbor that she's referring to, that hello is referring to, lived right next door.
Right.
To Tabi on East Street.
Right. Now this lady is saying she saw around 6. How many streets down is that?
Is Mill from East? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
One road over, 1 block.
Okay.
Like if you okay, so here's the thing. Picture this. You know where their house was, where Tabi
Right.
lived.
Right.
If you're looking at their house
Yes.
and you look to your left, there's that crossroad right there.
Okay.
That's Armstrong.
Okay.
If you turn right and go up 1 block to the next street, that's Mill Street.
Okay. So neighbor sees her about 5:30, right around her house. This woman sees her a half an hour later, 1 block up. And then she's back by her house by 6:30, leaving.
Very well could be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Alonda said she didn't live there. Cami did. Cami lived on Mill Street. And the house is adjacent to the Catholic Church. On the east side or the west side? It's the house on the hill south of the church. On the west side. Well, both sides of Mill Street have hills on them. So was it the east side or the west side? Fiverr Justice is saying correct. So it was the west side.
Okay.
Did somebody by the last name of Plake live there?
Plake?
Mm-hmm.
People are probably
I might have just figured out who the redheaded or the orange-headed kid was.
They're probably like Plake. Do I know that name?
There's a bunch of Plakes in Tipton, but there was a Plake that lived on Mill Street.
Okay. But what would he have to do with anything with Tabitha?
He's a drug pusher. East. Now, Londa's saying east side, right next to the preschool part of the church. Okay, Huffs lived there.
Who?
Huff. He was a firefighter.
Okay.
And his 2 sons are friends with my son, my oldest. And they are no way near shape or form into drugs or anything. Their dad would have beat their ass.
It looks like we're gonna have to go back and look who lived on those streets and see if we can make any connections. Try to figure out who. But the thing is she did say she saw them again.
Yeah, she said she saw him the day before that tape statement.
Right. And Gary Stout said that she was supposed to contact them if she had seen them. Did she? Did they figure out who?
He didn't ever say they contacted her again. Alonda, no. Starts with a B. My husband said southeast is where she lived. No. Is where who lived? Tabi lived on northeast.
All right, I'm going to have you talk to the audience while I go to the bathroom.
All righty. Thank you so much. Hello, hello. Are you referring to that's where Tabi lived or someone else? Because Tabi lived on northeast. Alonda, the one that I'm talking about is probably mid-30s right now. And has orangish reddish hair. Anybody else got any questions?
All right. Well, that was a good discussion tonight. I'm trying to figure out different things and having people put stuff into the chat. Makes us think. Absolutely. Once again, want to thank Tracy for your donation. I really appreciate it. All right. Tomorrow night, we're going to be back.
Oh, boy.
But we're starting 1 hour early. So instead of 8 o'clock, we will be here at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And
only because this is the last deposition that we know of.
And once again, it's 4 small pages on 1 big page. So it's going to take us at least a couple hours, if not more, to get through it.
Yeah, because it's a long one.
Yeah. So we are committed to staying here. We're going to start it at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we're committed to staying here until it's done.
So grab your popcorn and your drinks.
Yep.
Because this might be a good one.
Exactly. So thank you for joining us tonight. And join us tomorrow night. Like I said, 1 hour early, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the last deposition. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.